Hello and welcome to The Lucky Roll, an eclectic channel for eclectic games. And today we're going to be unboxing Inish, a game by Christian Martinez with art by Jim Fitzpatrick. Now it's a game for 2 to 4 players and it's kind of a card drafting kind of area control type of game. But what really interests me in this as an Irishman is the Celtic and Irish kind of vibe to it. I mean, the word Inish itself literally means island in Irish. Something that's really cool is in Proto-Celtic language, the word Inish literally translates to standing in the water, like an island. 3 of the most famous islands off the coast of Ireland would be, of course, the Aran Islands, which would be Inishmore, Inishman, and Inisheer, which famously would have been the last part of Ireland that many of the famine victims crossing over to America on the coffin ships would have seen before they made it to America. But anyway, I digress. This is a game I'm very interested in because, well, because of my own heritage, but because of the art style and to see what they have done with it. I mean, even here on the back, you can see how absolutely colourful and gorgeous it is, that there's plastic figures, and the whole thing is steeped in kind of Celtic art, mythology, and legends. So, with no further ado, let's unbox this and see what we have inside. Now, unboxing it for the very first time, we are greeted with instruction books, but also something I've just noticed here, even the side of the box. Now you can see that Jim Fitzpatrick has done a fantastic amount of work on this, and there's a lovely, beautiful Celtic vibe to this game. So aesthetically, this is already amazing. So the first thing we're greeted with, of course, is their Matago, their criteria, or their range of games, I should say. The only one that I have played personally is Captain Sonar, which is a very good one. So we also have here the instruction book, which is not desperately thick. It's 11 pages long. It's nice, it's bright, it's colourful. It doesn't seem like that this is going to be a very rules-heavy game, but nevertheless, I've heard great things about it. And of course, we have here the actual components. Now, of course, we have a forest, we have the harp, we have what seems to be a crown, and we have here a stone circle. Yes, no, stone circles would be a very Celtic thing in certainly in pre-medieval times. We have here some beautiful Celtic imagery here on the back. So these tiles are obviously kind of face down, and I think that you can see as here that they fit into each other. We have here the Highlands, and we have here Gates of Tir na Nog. Now that's interesting. Tir na Nog in Old Irish mythology is land of the young. Basically, it would have been to pre-Christian era heaven, essentially. That's the land of the forever young. That's where people would have gone to live, where an awful lot of our legends are based from, that they would have come from Tir na Nog. So it's cool that Tir na Nog is here. We've 2 more harps, the same things here in the back. We have Cove, which is interesting. There's a place in Cork called Cove, but it's spelled C-O-B-H. Here it's C-O-V-E. We have Simple Hills. We have here certain icons. So we have birds and we have a figure. And yep, they're double-sided. We have here the mountains and we have the plains. Now, this part of Ireland I most certainly do recognize because of the rain, which is one of the reasons the place is so green. We have the Lost Vale, and we have the valley, and we have a kind of a figure here that's kind of helmed. So, I mean, the art style is absolutely beautiful. We have a swamp, which, well, to be in Ireland, really, swamps be more bogs, but still a pest, and we have moors, we have plenty of those. We have meadows, and we have misty lands. So, it's bringing in some nice little kind of atmospheric, mythological kind of vibes to it. We have the iron mine, and we have the salt mine, which I'm guessing would be kind of resource-giving areas to control. The box itself has nice big solid dividers, so you can already tell that the tiles go here. We have nice big huge cards here, and we have a whole bag of miniatures here. So let's have a quick look at the minis. So as you can see here, these are female figures. Very nice. They're kind of adorned in a kind of a sheepskin rug. We have several of these figures. We also have here an Axeman, which I believe one of the earliest illustrations of Irish warriors were actual axemen. I believe it was the Romans. They drew a picture of some of the local hibernos, which is what they called us back then, and the warriors were predominantly axemen. We have here another one with a shield and a spear. So this is more kind of, it looks more Gallic, but nevertheless it is a Celtic vibe, and of course the Celtic nations spread throughout Ireland, Britain, and Brittany and France. We have another Axeman here, and yep, it seems to be those three different styles of figures. So we have a female figure, could be a scout or something like that. We have an Axeman, and we have a spearman with a shield. We have the same thing again in different colors. So we have white, we have orange, we have green, and we have blue. So they're all the same figures. We also have here, I believe, the territories in which you take. So they're very interesting actually, because they're set on top of a hill, which of course, as everyone knows, was the safest place to kind of build a village or a town in the old days, because if you're on top of a hill you could see your enemies coming, and they would have to go up the hill to attack you, so they'd be tired before they actually got to you. And the same thing here, we have I suppose it's a kind of a small little village, and this is the actual fort, or dún as we would call them in Ireland. Just another little kind of interesting thing is dún fort in Ireland is something you'd see in an awful lot of our town names, like Dundalk would have been Doon from it. You would have Doongarvan, you would have the very famous county Donegal, which is Doonanaul in Irish. So there was lots of these little forts back in the ancient times, and we have here a whole set of cards. So let's open these. So we have round summary cards. So we have three different types of cards. We have action cards, epic tale cards, advantage card, a season card, a triskel card, and different icons, and of course clash. So there's a nice round summary and kind of summation of the cards here. So these are the advantage cards. So as you can see, you have hills, Lost Vale, meadows, plains, valley, misty lands. So all the areas that we had here in tiles are repeated here again in the actual cards. Now they're nice, they're big, they're good solid quality, and yeah, these are quite nice. They're big cards. They might be hard to sleeve maybe because of the size, but they're nice big chunky cards, and you know, they're good to feel, they're good to have. We have an epic tale card here. So of course Balor's Eye. There's an ancient Irish Celtic tale where there was basically a kind of sea monster things called the Fomorians, and Balor was the leader of them. So I think you can read about this in Sláine as well in 2000 AD, but Balor and the Evil Eye, basically he was kind of a monster that was terrorized old Ireland and old Tiernan Og, and his eye used to kind of send out bursts of flames and things like that. So it's cool to see that Balor's Eye is here. We have Battle Friendly. We have Cathbad's Word. So Cathbad, of course, was an even the Irish version of Merlin. So it's interesting that he's in here. You have the Children of Dana. So that's interesting. That looks like a very Tiernan own. We have Dagda's Cauldron, Dagda's Harp, Deirdre's Beauty. So yes, I remember there's famous Irish characters such as Deirdre, I think, who was someone from Tiernan Og that brought an Irishman with her to Tiernan Og and was going to keep him there. He was a very handsome man, but she was also a very beautiful woman. But after so many years, he missed Ireland and he wanted to go back. So when he was going back, Deirdre told him not to step off the horse, and he promised her that he would not. But when he came back to Ireland, he noticed that it had all changed, and he saw an old man fall down. So he hopped off the horse without thinking to help the old man. But the second his foot touched Irish soil, he began to age and wither, and he died. What he didn't realise is in Tír na nÓg, the time passes at a different stage. So Ireland had passed hundreds of years in the time that he spent 2 or 3 years in Tír na nÓg. So it's interesting that these cards touch on these different stories. Sorry, maybe it was Diarmid agus Grania, or Diarmid and Grania. Maybe that's the story I'm thinking of as opposed to Deirdre. I'm afraid I'm not as good at my old Celtic history stories as I should be, but it's either Deirdre or Diarmid agus Grania. I think it's Diarmid agus Grania, or Diarmid and Grania, sorry. Agus is the Irish word for and. That's how I would have been taught it in primary school. Eru, of course, is Ireland. You have the Dagda. You have Carnos' sanctuary. You have Talatu's land. You have Lug Samildánach. So I believe Lug Samildánach might be a Scottish thing. And you have Lug's spear as well. You have Maeve, of course. Queen Maeve was a great villain in Irish history. The largest... The Irish equivalent of, say, Ulysses would have been the Anton Bócúine, which was a massive island-wide war between Ulster and Connacht and Leinster and Munster. And it all started because of Queen Maeve. Queen Maeve was the equal of any man, except in one aspect. There was one kind of prized bull that she didn't have. So in order to satiate her ego, she went north to Ulster to borrow a bull. But an insult happened, and instead of the bull being borrowed and her being the equal of any man on the island, a big massive civil war kicked off instead. And Maeve, of course, was, how do I put it? She was brilliant, beautiful, psychotic, amazing, but she would have been around the time of Cuchulainn. But yeah, Maeve's wealth, of course, there wouldn't have been this massive war if it wasn't for the fact that Maeve's wealth was second to someone in the island, and she had to change it. So basically, Ireland had a big, huge, massive war over a bull, and it was thanks of Maeve. You have Manannan's horses, you have Nuada Silverhand, you have Angus's ploy, you have Ogma's eloquence, you have Bray's tyranny, you have the tale of Cuchulainn. Now, Cuchulainn, of course, is an incredible mythical Irish character. He would have been around the time of Maeve, but he was incredibly strong. He was famous because he had 7 fingers in each hand, 7 toes in each foot, 7 dimples in each cheek, and was able to play a game of hurling on his own against a whole other team of boys. He got his name Cuchulainn, which is son of the Hound of Ulster, because as a child he so impressed one of the lords in Ulster that he was invited to a feast but was late, and without realising it, because he was late, they assumed he wasn't turning up, so they released the hounds to protect the area, and one of the hounds attacked Cuchulainn as a child. So he defended himself by basically throwing the slitter, which is kind of like a small leather ball in the air, hitting it with a hurley and killing the dog stone dead. Now, of course, they were happy he was alive, but the Cuchulainn, I believe, the man who owned the dog was upset at the loss of his prized beast, so Cuchulainn said that he would serve as the Hound of Ulster until he had trained up and had another beast to protect his lands. So, I mean, there's a lot of incredible stories about Cuchulainn. The last story I'll tell you about Cuchulainn is, and it's a very famous image that you can see in the GPO in Dublin, is when he was so badly hurt by his enemies, he tied himself to a post so he could keep fighting. And his enemies even then were afraid to approach him. And it was only when a raven landed on Cuchulainn's shoulder that they knew he was dead and would approach him. And there's a beautiful statue of Cuchulainn of that in the GPO in Ireland. One other cool little thing I want to show you here is, you can see here, it's the this is the Old Irish language. It's Ogham. So instead of obviously letters as we would know today, you would have the alphabet here. So this is how Irish people would have written, is they would have drawn lines at different sides to communicate literally instead of verbally. So Cuchulainn is a cool tale. You have the Battle of Moytura, you have Streng's Resolve. The champion's share was always basically the, if you had a steak, the champion's share was the fillet, the best part of the steak, and it was always given to the champion to keep them strong. You have the Dagda's Club. You have the Fianna. Now, the Fianna were ancient Irish warriors. What's really cool today, actually, is the Defence Forces of Ireland are also known as Fianna, because they'd be the soldiers of Ireland. But if you wanted to join the Fianna back in the old days, you had to be able to jump at least your own height. The reason you had to be able to jump your own height is that you could jump over a shield wall and attack the soldiers from behind. But the physical prowess of the Fianna, when you read about it, would have left many of our own lads in shame. But, yep, like I said, the cool thing about the Fianna is that even our own Irish soldiers are known as na Fianna, or Fianna Fáil, is written on the cap badges because they're the soldiers of Ireland. Another cool little thing actually about Cuchulainn is the Glen of Amal is where an awful lot of Irish soldiers train. And if you go up into the mountains there, where the Irish Army actually trains now, is where you read about where Cuchulainn trained in the old days. It's just some really cool stuff. You have Morrigan, of course, which is another famous Celtic hero. You have the Otherworld. You have the Stone of Fal, which I'm not sure, that maybe that might be the Stone of Destiny in Scotland. And you have Tuan's Memory. So if you had, of course, someone who's better steeped in kind of Celtic mythological lore than I would be, this is a perfect game for them straight away because of all the wonderful things that's there. You have the characters here, so you have the craftsman and presence, you have the bard, and of course you have the harp, you have the warlord, you have the citadel, you have conquest, you have the druid, you have exploration, you have the geish. Now the geish used to be kind of a magical spell that you would put on people. So you kind of bewitch them or kind of hypnotize them type of thing, but it's even in some cases it's a curse. But a geish used to be what that was. You have migration, you have new clans, new alliance, sanctuary, so I'm guessing that's what one of those little figures were. You have the festival, you have emissaries, you have scouts and spies, you have the master craftsman, and of course you have raid, which was a great pastime back in the old Celtic mythological days. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is everything that you get in the box of Inish. Now, as you can see, it is an absolutely beautiful game, and this unboxing took an awful lot longer than it should have because I got so distracted by all the cool little things that are in it. So if you're someone with a Celtic heritage or someone who has an Irish American or Scottish American or any type of heritage like that, this would be a wonderful gift for them. So it's a game for 2 to 4 players. It lasts about 60 minutes, and yep, it's on sale from Matago Games, and thank you very much for watching. So if you enjoyed this little video, please like, subscribe, all that good YouTube stuff, and until next time, good luck, God bless, agus slán go fóill.